Warning. The following podcast contains politics, leftist politics, the whole truth, justice, American way thing. We live in a time where one has to post this. Progress is a dirty word, such as science and reason. My superheroes would weep. This podcast contains naughty language as well. Hello, I am Captain Capitalism from the great nation of USA number 1, MAGA. What you're about to hear is a DC fan version of USA. Do not trust him. In this land, we value corporate overlords like Disney. And we laugh when Black Widow has multiple sex partners and we become a meme. So if you are upset with this video, good, you are part of sheep mentality. Please go ahead and support big box office numbers like big crowds in demonstration in Washington. Please support Trump because he and Marvel CEO were buddies until it became inconvenient for that kind of relationship. And keep supporting wholesome religious Disney because that's the way third countries are run. Anyways, Captain Capitalism out. What's up, everybody? This is gonna be a fun one. I'm basically gonna do a celebration of 30 podcasts. It's no easy task. I don't really care if one person sees it or I just check it out in the future or 10 people see it, or this is one of those podcasts that blows out of proportions and then everybody sees it and I'm hated or I'm loved or whatever. But it's kind of like, just kind of clearing the air. Whenever some, product comes in whatever shape or form, for instance, like, if the Cowboys win, everybody who hates the Cowboys always goes, or, console wars, if Microsoft has a cool product and people hate on Sony, or if Sony has a cool product, people hate on Xbox. It's kind of like that crap. And given that we live in like you're either with me or you're against me kind of mentality on social media, it's kind of a much needed thing to talk about this kind of thing. So while we endure media bias and stuff like that, because Marvel are the cool kids on the block currently. If you're actually a comic book fan or even a movie fan, you would know that DC has had like movie serials since the 1940s and 50s. If you count up all the, DC movies, be it like, with other studios and things like that, actually DC has a lot of movies. Currently, Spielberg's working on a Black Hawk movie, and you'll be interested to know that's going to be a remake of like 15 episode movie serials. So there were 15 movies in the 1950s that were about the Blackhawks comic books. But that's not something that the media even care to bring up. They don't do their research. They don't know shit. So, I've been asked a lot, hey, Serge, how can you, live without the MCU? It's like, but you love comics and stuff like that, So they always kind of like say, the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, almost has like 20 movies. How can DC ever compete? And that's like saying, imagine if like the Fast and the Furious were like, well, fuck Bullet, fuck Ronin, fuck Gone in 60 Seconds. They're not part of a cinematic universe. So if it's not part of a cinematic movie universe, a race movie doesn't count, right? With cars and shit. And that's kind of stupid. That's kind of like saying, well, Toy Story sucks because it's not part of a cinematic universe. The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast suck because they're not attached to each other. And that's kind of like the stupid mentality that people hold, against DC. DC Comics has been making so many fucking movies. But, people like to nitpick. They kind of set it up unfairly. It's kind of like when, straight white dudes walk up to lesbians and they're like, how can you live without dick? Everybody needs dick. Or, they walk up to, gay people and say, hey, how come you don't like pussy? You must like pussy. So it's kind of like that, kind of unfair and judging by people's standards, And, I just kind of thought that this is ridiculous. One thing that I am going to do in this comparison is compare movies that kind of like are kind of similar to each other. And sadly, I cannot include, the amazing work done by Sam Raimi on Spider-Man, or Richard Donner and his wife Shelley Donner, who produced the X-Men movies over at Fox with Bryan Singer. Also Mangold, he did an amazing job with, Logan and the Wolverine. So those movies are awesome, and now people are kind of enjoying, Fox Studios' Deadpool 1 and 2, So there is a lot of work being done outside of the Marvel Studio system. And that's what we had prior to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We had good fucking movies. It doesn't need to be attached to your cinematic universe to quote-unquote count. So this is what I'm going to do on this, number 30 podcast. I'm going to compare movies by Warner Brothers, and I'm also going to include New Line Cinema, because it's owned by Warner Brothers, to kind of give you like a view of the vitality the comic book movies have, the variety. I'm also going to include DC comic movies that have been either under imprint, and you'll find out about those. Just because, DC puts their name and faith on it. Much like the MCU kind of, counts the Ultimate Universe with the regular universe to kind of like make their movies. An imprint kind of works for DC as well. So yeah, I'm going to try not to be too lengthy. And, full disclosure, this is my opinion. If you don't like it, just not listen to this at all. Yeah. So if you like it, thank you. If you hate it, fuck you. Let us begin. Number 1, Captain America: Winter Soldier. It's one of those movies that people say it's a great political intrigue, and honestly, when I first saw it, I was like, man, the Russo brothers just totally fucking ripped off The Dark Knight. How did they did it? Well, it's the pacing, If you look at the pacing, the quick cutting, the edge on your seat, what's going to happen next? No time to explain shit. Let's move on. Action scene. Let's move it. Keep the camera shaking. Cut. That kind of shit was innovative for Marvel, because it was like the first time that they kind of, stepped out of their comfort zone. But at the end of the day, it's like kind of a shitty cop-out, Whereas the Red Hood, actually had he wasn't brainwashed per se from the Lazarus Pit. He actually had some good fucking points against Batman. Like, why don't you kill the Joker? Fuck you. The Winter Soldier here was kind of like, I am brainwashed by Russians. The other point that I was really pissed off with this movie is that when Agent Black Widow is fleeing with Captain America and they go to the bunker and they're like, oh yeah, Hydra is responsible for all the atrocities by the United States since the 1950s. It's like, fuck you. That kind of propaganda is bullshit. Own your shit. It's like, are you fucking saying that, like, race wars in the 60s were caused by Hydra? No, fuck you. Your country is like this, And it was whole fucking humiliating just to watch that. I actually walked out of the theater when that shit happened. I was like, fuck this. I finished watching it later on because my friend paid the ticket, but I was like, fuck this movie. And, some people are like, how can you live without something that's kind of spyish and political? Well, shit, I don't know. I got fucking V for Vendetta over here. I mean, if you want to argue, which one's better? I don't know. I think we know which one the hackers are picking. No, but seriously, as far as a film well made, fuck, dude. V for Vendetta, I it was given the mask at Comic-Con by the studio when they showed some footage over there. And, I didn't pay for the mask. That's the coolest shit. I wore the mask before it was cool. Fucking hipster. But no, yeah, I supported this movie. I even wore the mask to the cinema when I went to see it. And I was blown away. The writing, cinematography, action scenes, it's all in pace. It's not a gratuitous fucking, action movie. And it has a way better message than, Winter Soldier. So I don't really need the Winter Soldier because I have a better movie. Alright, so the next big one that a lot of people throw against us DC fans is like, yo, Black Panther. We got Black Panther. Wakanda for life. And I'm kind of like, well, yeah, that's pretty cool. A bunch of Americans didn't film in Africa. A bunch of African Americans. It's still an American studio. It's still a USA studio. USA money, USA celebrities. Kendrick Lamar is from the US. Yeah, you hired a few people from, Africa to contribute to your album. Lupita Nyong'o is from Kenya and Mexico, so I guess that's kind of universal. But it's still kind of, kind of based on USA's remorse with the way you treated black people here in the States. Unfortunately, that does not compare to half the fucking population of the world being female. And not to mention that Black Panther was only greenlit by Marvel when the Cyborg movie was originally announced by Zack Snyder a long time ago. Therefore, we have the better movie. Why? And I'll kind of go into it. Black Panther is about a very isolationist country, technologically advanced, that somehow looks down on colonizers, but didn't do shit to help the entire continent. To keep off colonizers away from the continent. So, it's like, imagine if Greenpeace was like, yo, no war, but we have an army. It's like, what the fuck, Meanwhile, Themyscira, Paradise Island from Wonder Woman, was closed off from the world as a protection by Zeus. They didn't fucking say, fuck, the world, we're gonna hide under our giant shield bubble, like Wakanda. But they actually were kind of like stuck in the situation. They've learned all the man's world languages and history and stuff like that. They've actually shown that they give a fuck about other cultures, And the lesson from Wonder Woman is that love can save the world, Whereas Black Panther has to be told by a white CIA agent, yo, join us, behave, we'll help you out. Which is kind of fucked up. The CIA is basically acting as the ultimate colonizer in this fucking movie. So yeah, we have the better movie. And seeing how, Infinity War spoiler, how a white god had to save Wakanda, it kind of gives you an idea that the whole bullshit, pseudo black pride that Disney and Marvel were promoting, it was shit. They kind of duped the whole woke movement because they were trolling them. It's like, oh, we're going to have Thor save you. You can't think of a whiter god than Thor, So, yeah, we have the better movie. Addendum to the Wonder Woman. A lot of people have said, well, how come, DC Comics hasn't shown us an African-American superhero? I'm like, bitch, please. I don't know if you remember, but DC Comics actually casted Eartha Kitt in the 1960s Batman as Catwoman. How fucking cool is that? Eartha Kitt was the first African-American hero or villain, because, Catwoman has gone from villain to a hero in recent years. So Eartha Kitt kind of was not really a villain. It was kind of like toying with Batman, rat, mouse, flying mouse. Yeah, so she was the first African-American to be in a superhero TV show. So that's pretty fucking awesome. So don't question that shit. Also in the 90s, Quincy Jones and Shaq made Steel. You can say whatever the fuck you wanted, but Quincy Jones actually wanted a good-hearted superheroes that kids could watch. Very clean PG. Alright, so whatever. However, in the mid-90s, we got a badass version of Spawn. Again, it suffered because the director was a special effects artist instead of an actual film director, but Spawn, nonetheless, got a lot of faith from New Line Cinema, which is owned by Warner Brothers. And guess what? New Line Cinema also was the first one to produce Blade, Blade 2, and Blade Trinity. That's put a lot of fucking faith by a major studio to a African-American superhero. In fact, a little side note, the first Blade was so damn successful that Fox Studios kind of pushed Bryan Singer's release date on the first X-Men movie. If you go back to the documentaries and to the commentary, you'll hear Bryan Singer, kind of say this. And while a lot of people were kind of like, oh, X-Men started it all, for Marvel, if you've seen Jay and Silent Bob and Kevin Smith talk about that shit, it's kind of ridiculous. I'm not going to say he's racist, but come on. Blade started the Marvel Cinematic Universe movement, whether they like to admit it or not, and it was led by David Goyer, Man of Steel and Dark Knight guy. So, yeah, not to mention that we also had Catwoman. Say what you like about that movie, but we had another, African-American playing Catwoman in a giant budget. Say what you will about that movie, but again, WB, New Line, and DC Comics does give a fuck. The fact that all these idiots don't remember these movies, it kind of shows you that they're not really authentic. They're neither authentic nerd fans or authentic Black History people. So, they're just jumping on the bandwagon of Black Panther because it's popular. Alright, so what about the very, very historic first Avenger movies? And that broke all the records and made so much fucking money. Quote unquote, the first time we saw a group of superheroes on screen. Bullshit. Yeah, I know that Ninja Turtles is not DC. However, Notice what I said in the intro. New Line Cinema distributed this movie back in the 90s. And it was one of the earliest comic book adaptations that feature a fucking group of superheroes. Mutants. But still, a lot of these motherfucking people, mostly hipsters on social media, were so fucking quick to crown the Avengers as the first group on screen, even though there's been other movies, like Mystery Man, Watchmen, things like that. I know of there's some, justicieros from luchadores. The Mexican wrestlers had a giant, group of superheroes riding on motorcycles, kicking ass. Fucking awesome, right? But, estadounidenses or USA people don't count this shit. They don't give a fuck. It's only, again, they're playing by their rules, these hipsters. Oh, the first shared universe, cinematic universe, superheroes in a big budget movie that made a lot of money with enough critic support. Like, that's a lot of fucking asterisks to claim you were first. So, now comparing the two movies between Ninja Turtles and Avengers, fuck, no comparison. Ninja Turtles. It actually has, realistic looking, costumes, whereas Loki and Thor look like they're wearing plastic out of Walmart. The Hulk here looks fucking horrible. They spend a lot of time making him really bulky and shit, but he kind of runs like there is no weight to him. It's like a flea. Whereas the Ang Lee Hulk was a little bit more childlike in proportions, but it had a lot more weight to it. I don't know. Whereas the Ninja Turtles, they actually move like fucking ninjas. The choreography is great, and it was a much better movie. A lot more quotable power, and actually had humor when it needed to be. When Raphael get his ass kicked, nobody was like, look, I brought the party, like none of that shit. So, it's a much better film, and I don't need the Avengers when you grew up with turtles. Yes, this is a good one. Batman vs. Superman is better than Civil War. What's the criteria, you said? Well, if you look at the history of those movies, Civil War was changed from Captain America 3. Google the Russo brothers. They're the ones who actually went on record saying that Kevin Feige, told them to change the script to match Batman vs. Superman. And you can tell. It was a rehash of Bucky. There isn't really a fucking Civil War. X-Men 3 had a much fucking bigger Civil War between superpowered beings than this fucking movie. This movie just had like 6 people on a fucking parking lot, going at each other's throats, and I'll hurt you. Depends how badly, you treat me. Ugh. But anyways, all the elements didn't really add it up there. The whole reasoning behind it is really stupid. They get blamed for collateral damage. Like, really? After all the shit you've done in the first Avengers, the second Avengers? Come on. That's fucking stupid. And they're like, yeah, we're gonna pass this bill that... that subplot went nowhere. In a world where superheroes wear masks, and the government asks you to register, like, have you ever considered that I can just wear another fucking mask? Like, I don't have to stop being Captain America. I just put on another fucking spandex, and you can't fucking tell who I am underneath. Like, nobody thought about this shit. It's fucking stupid. Like, I remember in the comics, in the Marvel fucking comics, when Peter Parker couldn't find his fucking Spider-Man costume, dude, the guy wore a fucking paper bag over his fucking face and wore the Fantastic Four outfit to fight crime. Do you really think that people who fucking read comics didn't, like, think about this shit and went like, I'm sorry, that plot point in Civil War is fucking stupid. you know? But again, that's asking too much from people. Apparently, you're not supposed to think about Marvel movies. You just, fuck it. Leave your brain at the door and enjoy. Sounds like a fucking cult to me. Or as Batman vs. Superman, years fucking later, we just recently had a hashtag for Batman vs. Superman references. All the hidden mythology, symbology, Easter eggs. I think there were close to 300 references. As much as Ready Player One. And that's fucking awesome. People are still analyzing it. People are still thinking about it. People are still discussing it, quoting it. And it makes fucking sense. The whole logistics behind this movie has the Trinity, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and actually characters that do matter. Basically, I'll give you kind of a brief why I think it's a better movie. In this film, Superman's not depressed. It is the bullshit situation of having half the world hate you, kind of like Obama. Batman, he's not a killer. Batman originally used guns in his first appearance. If you don't know that, then you're not a Batman fan, and fuck you. So in this one, he's portrayed as the actual badass person, the vigilante that he was originally made by, Bill Finger and Bob Kane, paying homage to the Shadow with dual pistols. When the censorship happened in the 1950s, they kind of said, fuck guns. But yeah, originally Batman wasn't just like, I'm going to shoot you in the fucking head. He wasn't like the Punisher. He would use guns to, either distract people, shoot a tire out of a car, wound someone in the leg. I'm sure, a gunshot and a fucking batarang, they're going to hurt your leg no matter what. So, I know, I get it. There's like a whole modernistic anti-gun thing. But if you have like a rifle that shoots a tracking beacon, no one's going to be fucking against that, right? But anyways, so Batman is portrayed as as that angry fucking Dark Knight Returns kind of a guy. And the cool twist is that we think it's going to be a Dark Knight Returns iteration, even going to replicate the fucking fight between Batman and Superman with the awesome metal, costume. When in fact, it is Superman who is the protagonist, because everything revolves around what people think of him, what he thinks of himself compared to what the world says. Even Wonder Woman, she only goes and showcases against, the world because, she sees these people with powers. And, if Superman, it hasn't shown up to this anomaly, people are going to die. And she's like, well, Superman's missing. I guess I better go and fight this doomsday thing. And it makes sense, I'll include my awesome blog on defending this movie. I took on the biggest haters of the fucking internet, kind of tore them down. It's beautiful. So that's why I think Batman vs. Superman is a fucking better movie. It makes sense. It's gritty, and if you've seen the director's cut, it's fucking R-rated. You get a couple more scenes, but it's fucking awesome. Critics actually apologized to Zack Snyder after watching the director's cut. I believe it's because the first time they watched it, they saw it with with hater shade, sunglasses. And the second one, we're like, wait a minute, this shit actually makes sense. All the fucking things make sense. And if we're comparing villains, Lex Luthor actually set up to do what the fuck he set up to do. Whereas Zemo on Civil War, he didn't do shit, man. Like, in Infinity War, they're just shaking hands saying kumbaya. He didn't split up the Avengers. So fuck this movie. Alright, Sergio, but how can you live without... What can you bring me against the 3 Thor movies? The third one was so popular because it was so fucking funny. Well, shit, man, I don't know. How have I been living without this shit in my life? Oh, yeah. I actually look up to the other red cape in the room. The first, the best, the Superman. Yep, we have an actual really good trilogy, and I added these three. I have Superman 3 and 4 later on. Simply because this is the kind of this is the way that we fans see it now. Richard Donner did a Superman 2 cut, which is better. And also there's an extended version of the first Superman movie. And Warner Brothers actually offers a 3-pack trilogy that includes Superman 1, Superman 2, and Superman Returns by Bryan Singer. So Bryan Singer set out to make like a pseudo reboot remake part 3 of the Donner films, the first 2 Donner films of Superman. So if you look at those 3 movies, it kind of completes a trilogy. And that's what they are. That's how I get my kicks, basically. The first Thor movie, fucker didn't wear a helmet. That's like Superman not wearing a cape. It's kind of like, okay. It's kind of like He-Man, where like there's Eternia, there's a bad guy, come to small town America and meet some humans. It really tried to do a lot of Hamlet Shakespearean shit. I mean, I know that Kenneth Branagh tried his best with the first Thor, but it was kind of like meh. It seemed like Masters of the Universe, but with a little bit more seriousness and more budget. The second Thor movie kind of made people go, fuck this. I don't want to see it. And yeah, I can see where this is going, if like all it took was like Loki cutting Thor's hand in a dream sequence or fucking cave or whatever shit vision. Like, why didn't you do that shit in the first movie? I mean, why not make Thor a fucking quadriplegic? Why not cut off his fucking head? Again, there are no stakes here, so... and also the fact that Loki cried more when his mom died than Thor? What the fuck is wrong with you? Either you're a fucking psychopath hero, or your director sucks. And yeah, Thor Ragnarok basically was like, let's drop Thor on his head and make him a surf dude, make him funny. Asgard's getting destroyed. I don't care. They also really stupefied the Hulk. It's almost like Shrek-like. So yeah, those 3 movies are fucking mediocre, compared to the 3 Superman. And yeah, I understand that some people had issues with Superman Returns, but that's nostalgia for you. People wanted the Richard Donner style Superman. Fuck you. That's what you got. Again, I'm glad that Superman Returns exist because it kind of closed off that trilogy of Superman. Ideally, I would love to see Brandon Routh again in Superman outfit, but maybe as a in a multiverse movie. And now that I'm thinking about it, fuck it, I should do audio commentary on all the Superman movies. So stay tuned for that, because they're fucking superior to Thor. Okay. So what about Captain USA? Like a historic-based movie. Well, shit. Well, I hate to disappoint you, but Sam Mendes actually made Road to Perdition. Road to Perdition is based on a DC Comics imprint graphic novel that deals in 1930s USA gangster Chicago area. It features Paul Newman and Mr. Tom Hanks and Jude Law, with a cameo by Daniel Craig. Well, not a cameo. He has a small role there, but Daniel Craig is also in this movie, and it was actually pretty damn awesome. It was nominated for a couple of Oscars, I believe. And I don't need, Captain America, First Avenger, because Road to Perdition kind of fits that niche of a historic comic book based movie. One of the things that a lot of people fucking forget is that comic books are not spandex. They say, well, comic book movies needs to be this. No, fuck you. Comic books is a medium, okay? And one of the things that I really like about, French and the Italians is that they understand this. The Italians have a superhero called Diabolique, which is more like 007. It doesn't need a cape or spandex. Well, he wears spandex sometimes, but they understand that. Same thing with the French, blue is the warmest color. It's based on the graphic novel La Vie d'Adèle, The Life of Adele. And, it actually won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes, which is like the Oscars of France. So, we do have a quality level entertainment here. But people always want what's easy. They want the Big Mac. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the Big Mac of cinema. So when something like Road to Perdition comes and you tell them it's a fucking comic book movie, people go, pfft, oh, come on, where are the explosions? Where is the spandex? And I'm like, fuck you. Where is your Google? Where's your fucking smartphone? So I don't fucking need... a Captain America movie. Now some haters might be like, well, fuck you. You're just like saying that shit because Wonder Woman imitated that movie. I'm like, bitch, check your shit. Basically, the Rocketeer is Captain America. It's even made by the same fucking Disney studio. But the Rocketeer is way better than Captain America. Not only because it was just a standalone movie, but because it was actually a little bit more coherent, and even to this day, Hugo Weaving is like, fuck that movie. Fuck Captain America. I'm not going to return as the Red Skull. A lot of people focus and give shit to Michael Bay Transformers movie, all three movies, because Hugo Weaving was like, yeah, I regret doing those movies. Everybody goes, ha, Michael Bay. But as soon as Hugo Weaving talks shit about Captain America, well, fuck that actor. Fuck that actor, what does he know? And, if we're going to be honest, the Rocketeer is basically Commander Cody. If you don't know who Commander Cody is and all your knowledge comes from Disney movies, well, Commander Cody was a reference that George Lucas made and paid homage to. And Revenge of the Sith, he had a character called Commander Cody based on this retro movie. And if we really want to piss off people and give them a goddamn history lesson, boom, there you go. Captain America is nothing more than a combination of Uncle Sam and Mr. America by DC Comics. They even show up earlier in history of the publication. So, for all the haters out there who want to brag about Captain America and how much I fucking need it, I don't. And, those assholes always seem to laugh about, Captain Mexico, Captain Iran, Captain Russia. And, it's kind of a nationalistic fucking bullshit attitude, which kind of leads to fascism if you haven't studied history. So, fuck that shit. But, people are like, fuck you just don't like camp. You don't just like fun. I'm like, bitch, fuck you. We made camp cool. Batman, 1960s, remember that shit? Yes. We made camp at the height of pop culture. Even Andy Warhol was like, yeah, fucking Batman. It's fucking awesome. Yeah, and Andy Warhol did praise WrestleMania too at some point. So it's not like us artists are just stuck-up assholes who don't like camp. It's mostly that these new fucking hipsters who are in charge of these publications online are all like spoiled upper middle class fuckfaces who kind of regurgitate the same fucking mentality that most of the white suburban kids seem to like, They don't have like a lot of ethnic variety, gender variety, and variety of fucking opinions. It's like the most scarce commodity online. They all sound like your average white dude. And fuck that shit, you know? Some people are like, you don't like camp. I'm like, bitch, have you seen Tim Burton's Batman movies? The first one had Jack fucking Nicholson chewing up the scenery as the Joker. It fit to that movie. Also, Prince doing the soundtrack. Prince did the Batman soundtrack before Kendrick Lamar did Black Panther soundtrack. Can I get a hell yeah? You know, so that was fucking camp, you know? It had iconic scenes in it. Instead of like the stupid dance-off, there was like that awesome Jack Nicholson mirror, you know, like when he gets disfigured and shit. Fucking awesome. Even The Simpsons mocked that scene. Batman Returns, which is basically like, let's just focus on the villains and make a German expressionism movie. Fuck yeah. It's my least favorite of the two, quite simply because Batman's hardly in it. You know, if you make a movie called Sorrow Strikes Back and it's all about the bad guys, you're like, fuck this. But I did enjoy the campiness of it, you know, exploding wind-up penguins, they're fucking there. A giant rubber ducky. Circus freaks. Paul Rubens, you know, is there. So it's fucking camp. And it's set on Christmas before Shane Black made it a fucking thing. How fucking fun is that? You know? A lot of puns about, you know, pussycats. A lot of mature humor, but also really fucked up funny stuff. So when people say, like, how can you live without Guardians of the Galaxy? I'm like, we have better shit out here, man. So I don't... Like, you know, to quote Office Space, I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob. People just are so fucking narrow-minded what they consider fun. So, fun you, buddy. Now, some people say, well, you conveniently left out, you know, Batman and Robin and Superman Quest for Peace, two of the shittiest DC movies of all time, which, if you go online and check, people will say Batman and Robin is one of the worst comic book movies of all time. Except when you bring out the shitty Captain America movie in the 90s and the shitty Fantastic Four from Roger Corman. Also in the fucking 90s, the Fantastic Four was so fucking bad that Marvel was like, oh no, don't put this out there. It'll make us look really fucking bad. It was the Two Girls, One Cup for an entire fucking decade. And you could only get it at comic book conventions. Is it really bad? It's fucking horrible. It makes Batman and Robin look good. And that's not an achievement. But yeah, if you go to, you know, Twitter and say, hey fam, what's the worst comic book movie of all time? People are like, oh, Batman and Robin was really awkward. No, Fantastic Four is really fucking bad. Like, even by Roger Corman standards, and that's saying something. I mean, the man just tried with the tiny ass budget to make something. But the fact that, you know, how do I put this? James Cameron came out of Roger Corman, and he came out alright. Alright? So, for Roger Corman to not even do justice to the Fantastic Four, it means something. Years later, there's, Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four Silver Surfer movies. I have them on Blu-ray. They're kind of shitty, but that's when I kind of like the Marvel movies, because I'm like, yeah, they're not hiding their shit. You know, it is what it is. Fantastic Four, you know, fucking rip-off of, like, Challengers of the Unknown by DC Comics. Anybody read that? No? Come on, media? Anyways. But yeah, it was fucking shitty. You know, even, like, the new one that they try to make, like, dark and gritty, it's still pretty shitty. You know, at this point, they could make a Fantastic Four movie where it's basically Two Girls, One Cup 4 times. call it Marvel Cinematic Universe, and these idiots will eat it up. Yeah, the pun was intended. But yeah, and this is something that you won't read in the fucking media about how horrible the Fantastic Four movie was. And it is, to this day, the worst comic book movie of all time. Even worse than Son of the Mask. And that's saying something. Alright, so you want to bring up Green Lantern, right? As a giant cinematic failure of the DC Universe. You also want to bring out Jonah Hex, because, it was pretty mediocre. However, I wager that it is equally as mediocre as the two Hulk movies. Now, mind you, I love Ang Lee's The Hulk, because it fucking took risks. The fucking movie was like trying to bring a comic book to life by the editing, by the way that it edited the transitions, the pacing, like the big splashy pages that we see in comics, the panels that are on top of panels. They carry that motif over with the editing. Back in the day, they wanted to make this a giant monster movie. And, there was even an iconic image where Hulk was on top of the, Golden Gate Bridge. Like, that should have been your fucking centerpiece. But I think that Ang Lee kind of got frustrated with the studio and all the fucking notes that they were giving him and shit. If you look at it, it's actually a really well fucking made movie. It makes sense to bring Hulk into the mainstream and actually, he just got hit by gamma radiation. I just pulled that shit out of my ass. No, there was actually like nanotechnology that, was inside of Bruce Banner that was reawakened in this, fucking experiment. It was actually fucking good. And because, some people didn't like it and it wasn't financially good, the idiots that are, the Marvel, make mine money Marvel, didn't like that shit. So when they brought it in, the Hulk into the MCU, the cinematic universe, are like, fuck this, we're going to make a really good Hulk movie, we're going to get Ed Norton in it, and it's going to be great, it's going to be dark and gritty, and they're not going to laugh at it, like with all the goofy shit that, that Ang Lee did with the fucking starfish and shit, and yet it didn't work the way they wanted again, because, again, people were like, oh, it's too dark, it doesn't fit the fun, feel-good movie of the MCU. We need more jokes. We need more dick jokes. Can you make something about tantric sex and shit, Ed Norton? It was so fucking bad that Ed Norton said, fuck this, I'm leaving. But it isn't that bad. When you look at these two Hulk movies, they're actually trying to do something with the fucking characters. It's not just another copy and paste job. Like fucking Iron Man and Doctor Strange are the same fucking movie. Two rich white dudes are put in their fucking place and some foreigners fucking help them, and then they come back and take ownership of somebody else's bullshit, and it kind of says, I'm the hero. Same fucking movie. So yeah, like, I like these two Hulk movies. Jonah Hex is shitty, but, hey, Jonah Hex is up there on screen, I've seen better work done in the Arrowverse with Jonah Hex, and I think they were trying to go for the Wild Wild West, kind of like steampunk bullshit, so, it didn't work out as well, but they did try to make a good Western, which is, even to this day, is fucking hard to do. I just watched Scott Eastwood El Diablo movie. Pretty fucking awesome. Kind of puts a spin on the cowboy image. Check it out. It's got a nice twist. And also Green Lantern was definitely fucking problematic because they tried to make it like a jokey Marvel movie, but they cut out the heart of the movie. They cut out about 30 minutes from the introduction that makes Hal Jordan less of an asshole. Imagine cutting 30 minutes of the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, and you'll be like, fuck, Uncle Ben is on a fucking flashback. You don't build that? That's the heart of Spider-Man. Why would you do that? So even though like the extended cut or the director's cut of Green Lantern kind of gives Hal Jordan a much better grounded relatability, it's still kind of a crappy third act with the villain they chose, But, like, to quote Kevin Smith, it's better to have a Green Lantern movie than no Green Lantern movie at all. And that's what it means to be a geek, Sometimes, shit works, sometimes it doesn't. Like I said, for me, these 4 movies are the same because they were failures according to people who don't fucking read comics. Movie critics, hipsters online, people who are into cinema, but they don't bother to read the fucking material. Like, you can't go into Anna Karenina, the movie review without saying, like, I don't fucking care for literature. Like, how can you review a comic book movie and not be into, at least take a look at the comics that this shit was based on? Yeah, sure, some of these characters are, like, decades old, but at least pick up 1 or 2 fucking trade paperbacks. Call the fucking studio and be like, hey, I'm removing your comic book movie. Which books should I read to put in my interview this fucking context? That doesn't exist. But if you review Anna Karenina for the New York Times or the New York Post and go, guess what? I don't read, but I'm going to review this movie, you'll get fired. And that's kind of like telling, how these reviewers go into it. So, for instance, am I missing out on the Hulk from the MCU? Not necessarily. I'm not missing Jonah Hex or a shitty version of Green Lantern. I'm not missing it, Bob. All right. So you mentioned not Adam Strange. Oh my god, that's a DC comic book character. Okay. So you mentioned Dr. Fate. Oh my god, that's another DC character. Okay. Doctor Strange. Which is a pretty obvious ripoff of Dr. Fate from DC Comics. And, it's cool to, pay homages, but it's really fucked up to just rip him off. How do I explain this comparison between Constantine and Doctor Strange? And why I think it's actually the same shit. Well, Constantine is a really fucking good character from Vertigo and DC Comics. So check out Hellblazer if you can. But while Constantine is so much better character than Doctor Strange, this movie kind of takes him down a notch. I know that Keanu fucking tried, and I know that everybody, kind of tried, and they try to use like the cutting edge CGI at that time, but it just doesn't quite works to do justice to the character. And like I mentioned with Jonah Hex, I've seen better work done on television. The very, very short-lived television series of Constantine, fucking better take on the character. But nonetheless, I see it as the same level of mediocrity from Doctor Strange to Constantine. And you won't read that shit online. Everybody will praise, Doctor Strange because it's got good special effects. I'm like, well, Constantine had good special effects for its fucking time. But Doctor Strange has buildings upside down and shit. I'm like, Inception had that shit. Oh, but Doctor Strange had it in the very beginning of the comics. I'm like, so there's Dr. Fate, man. And the other cool thing is that Dr. Fate is fucking magic, whereas this dude learns magic. So there's no contest there. Our character from DC is better. Unfortunately, the movie versions of this are kind of like the same. I would say that even Doctor Strange sucks worse because it's basically Iron Man, the magic dude. Rich white dude gets into an accident, gets humbled, meets a fucking foreigner to teach him a lesson in humility, uses his resources to save people. I mean, I guess Doctor Strange, you can give him some kudos for not going, back to, Nepal and just killing bad guys. I mean, Iron Man was just like, fuck this brown people, I'm going to kill some more. So, yeah, it's the same kind of mediocre, and I'm not missing out much. I got Constantine And in fact, I have a Constantine TV show live action. I have Constantine on Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow on television, and a animated version coming up too. So I'm good. This is my favorite comparison. Justice League versus Avengers: Age of Ultron, both directed by Joss Whedon. If you notice, the Justice League has a giant color uptake resolution because that's what Justice League on digital devices looks like. Well, I'm just fucking exaggerating. It doesn't. When I got the digital version with Justice League, I had to adjust my fucking television because Matt Wagner, the awesome cinematographer of some really great Game of Thrones episodes, his fucking work is amazing. So when I saw what Joss Whedon did with amping the color, I was like, fuck this. This looks like somebody threw up a cereal onto a jar of, gummy bears. And I was like, fuck this. So I watched the Justice League with the adjusting setting between taking down the color and amping the contrast. And it looks like what Matt Wagner wanted his cinematography to look like. It looked like the comic book Comic-Con footage that we saw from Justice League. So, and I compare it to Joss Whedon's second Avengers movie, because in the second Avengers movie, he just fucking gave up. You know, as much of a hoorah as the first Avengers was. In this one, you can tell that he was tired. He was joking. Like, oh, look, the studio is angry because I'm going to kill Thor by a falling vehicle. You could tell that he was getting fed up with, like, the Marvel shit. And this is right around the time that Kevin Feige, son of a Feige, when he disbanded the Marvel Cinematic Committee, which was a bunch of comic book creators and artists who worked really fucking hard on the comics to make them what they are right now, giving input to movies. And he was like, fuck you guys, I'm gonna get rid of you. So you can tell that Joss Whedon was kind of like, oh fuck, they're putting more pressure on me. And yeah, even fucking Disney was disappointed with the box office results of this because it didn't hit a fucking $1 billion. They were like, fuck, we need more money. And, it's the one movie that made Joss Whedon walk out of Marvel and say, fuck this, I'm done. And then, he gets hired to finish off Justice League. And, you can tell that the guy was just not the right person for the job. There was a rumor that Zack Snyder left notes for Joss Whedon and how to finish this movie. But you can tell that a better director, like a David Fincher, would have made it 100 times better. It seemed like Joss didn't want to try. It seemed like he just wanted to do this gig as fast as he could so he could get the Batgirl movie going that he was hired for. So yeah, and I think they're the same kind of level of quality. The Avengers, just Age of Ultron, it's a really bloated CGI fest mess. And it kind of kills a couple of the takes of the heroes, It's like they tend to just like focus so much on the collateral damage that nobody like goes, hey, what the fuck are we doing? Why is Tony creating this fucking monstrosity? Why are we joking to pick up Thor's hammer when that same fucking joke was seen in the Thor movie? Like, nobody even thought about that shit. Whereas Justice League, for its Frankensteinian fucking form that it currently is, at least it got the heroes right. And the heroes were not fucking stupid. The biggest regrettable ones were the Joss Whedon quips, like Flash falling on top of Wonder Woman for no fucking reason. Like, dude, you're the Flash, and you stayed on top of Wonder Woman for way too long. Like, I understand if it was like half a fucking second, but no, it was quite a bit, and he was, whatever. So yeah, so I'm not really missing out a butchered group of Avengers movie when I have a butchered group of Justice League movie. Now, if Zack Snyder could release his cut, I'd be in heaven. Alright. So, what kind of a movie do you have to enjoy to compare to Ant-Man? I'm like, well, we have Suicide Squad. Your kind of humor is not my kind of humor. You might be good with, like, Paul Rudd and a fucking little toy train setting, and the same kind of villain, like, you stole my tech. I don't like you. But yeah, like, Suicide Squad is fucking better. Not only because it has an African American lead, fucking charming Will Smith, but also has a woman, Harley Quinn, as the protagonist, and has a nice third main star, which is the antagonist, Amanda Waller. All three characters were introduced before the credits rolled. People seem to think, well, Enchantress was the main villain. I'm like, no. The person who set all this shit in motion is and always will be Amanda Waller. That's why, she was introduced along with Deadshot and Harley Quinn in the intro. That's why, after all, she appeared in the extra credit scene saying, hey, they want to place this shit on me. Help me, Bruce Wayne. So, there you go. You have 2 African American leads, 2 female leads, before this shit was popular. Before, like, social media was like, well, we need equal representation. Suicide Squad was like, psh, dude, we got a Native American, we got a Latino, we got an Asian American. How fucking cool is that? We even got, like, a white trash Aussie as, Captain Boomerang, which is pretty fucking cool. And yeah, the movie fucking worked. I guess, it's funnier for me. I enjoy it more than Ant-Man. I don't fucking need Ant-Man, Like, it's kind of redundant and irrelevant at this point. Yeah, shrinking or, growing in power is like, I don't need it, With Suicide Squad, at least I have variety. I have a movie directed by a veteran of the armed forces. David Ayer served our country, and he knows how to handle these kind of situations that are not, like, all stupid, like in a fucking, toy set. It is pretty fucking funny. The Joker is fucking amazing and funny. So it's like a no fucking brainer, in a world of Ant-Man. I'm sorry, like, Suicide Squad just takes the fucking lead here. So as far as, like, oh, you need, like, a funny movie, I'm like, well, you need, like, a not stupid movie. Alright, but what about Spider-Man, joining the shared universe? You mean the one where they just didn't give a fuck about, Uncle Ben? That one? Really? Like, we're like, fuck Uncle Ben. We're gonna make Iron Man his mentor? That one? Dude, can you imagine how people would have been pissed off if, like, they just got rid of Krypton? Like, oh yeah, fuck Krypton, I know that's how your character comes to be, but, with great power comes, fuck that shit. And then let's get rid of Krypton. We have a TV show in the works. We'll explain that shit later. Fuck that, dude. I've never seen a much more disgraceful entry into a shared universe than fucking Spider-Man. Homecoming. Nice pun with goo, coming, webbing. Hello? Did anybody make that joke? No? Fuck. I guess these movies are untouchable then. But yeah, dude, Man of Steel fucking started the whole cinematic universe, and it's fucking appropriate. Within the birth of, like, Kal-El, it kind of pays a homage to the birth of the DC cinematic universe. When there is no Justice League, guess who he has? Are the armed forces, like, real world fucking heroes. If you serve our country, we fucking salute you in this movie. You know, I seem to recall the armed forces walking out of helping with the first Avengers because they're like, yeah, this is fucking unrealistic. We're not going to fucking do this movie. Meanwhile, with Man of Steel, they were handled with care. They actually helped, and even Zack Snyder made a couple of recruiting videos for the National Guard. Fucking awesome. Check him out on YouTube. So we're talking about like introducing a hero into a universe. Man of Steel takes it. You know, at the end of the movie, he's played on that, you know, very dangerous situation. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. You know, the what is it? Pepper Moreau from Star Trek. You know, the really fucked up situation we have to choose. Whereas Spider-Man, it's kind of like he's being lectured by Iron Man, a fucking douchebag who has fucked up so much. He literally tells him, without the suit, I'm nothing. I'm like, really? Are you fucking... Really? I've already said how, like, Spider-Man fought off villains with a paper bag on his fucking head and a Fantastic Four costume because he couldn't find his Spidey costume. That's fucking Spider-Man. It's not the suit that makes Spider-Man Spider-Man. It's motherfucking Spider-Man, Peter fucking Parker, dude. I mean, how do you fuck this up? So bad. And yeah, you know, sure, the Vulture, it's kind of a villain, but come on. I think it's just kind of a giant mess, you know? And I don't have a problem with, like, the diversity of this movie, but, you know, the fact that the douchebag Flash Thompson was a person of color, yeah, that's not... that kind of like... But, you know, Amanda Waller is a much better villain than Flash Thompson because it wasn't like tokenism, it was more like competence, you know. Viola Davis is a much better actor than the person who plays fucking Flash Thompson in this movie. So anyways, yeah, if you want to talk about like how to integrate a character who's had other movies outside of the cinematic universe, I'm not fucking missing out much. You know, I've already said I love the Sam Raimi movies. Even the other ones with Andrew Garfield, they had some cool shit there, you know. But you know, they were still better than, you know, Homecoming. You know, same thing. I like the you know, the other Superman movies, and I also like Man of Steel. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you put the two to two, like integrating an already existing superhero into a cohesive narrative, Man of Steel takes it. And I don't fucking need Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, with the biggest release to date of the Avengers movie, there's not a lot of comparisons to other Marvel movies. You know, nobody says, like, Avengers has to be as good as Logan and get an Oscar nomination for it to be successful. No one in the fucking media says that. Also, if Avengers makes more money than Black Panther, are people racist? No one fucking says that. Is Avengers better than Days of Future Past? Is it funnier than Deadpool? Is it much more socially impactful than the second X-Men movie? No one says this shit at all. Will it make history like the first Spider-Man by Sam Raimi? No one says this shit. Everybody on Twitter who wants to make some kind of comment about Avengers, they always try to take a jab at DC. They don't fucking stay in their lane. Even though there's been other really fucking better Marvel movies, they go like, wow, bling bling, it's making money, therefore it's gotta be great. I'm like, dude, do you remember fucking Tide Pods were making a shitload of money and because dumbasses were swallowing it? Also, the spinner fucking thing was also making a lot of money. I mean, Pokemon Go, every idiot was like, yeah, let's play that shit. Now nobody fucking plays it. So the fact that it's making a lot of money, it's mostly because people don't want to have a movie spoiled. You know, every fucking genre movie, Lord of the Rings, even fucking Twilight, 50 Shades of Grey even, Harry Potter movies, all these genre movies always make more money in the first weekend. I'm not impressed that Avengers Infinity is making a lot of money. Assholes online are like, oh my god, it's the biggest opening. I'm like, yeah. Have you tried making a living? It's fucking expensive out there. Ticket prices go up. Also, it's available in 3 fucking D. Also, it's like aimed towards children. You can't just be like, hey, Billy, here you go. Fuck off. Go see your movie. Not in the States. You gotta drive the kid, sit next to it, buy yourself a fucking ticket. And if Billy's going, then the whole fucking onslaught of kids wants to go see it. So you gotta take the whole fucking family. Again, more money. So it's not so much that it's shocking that, oh my god, it's making a lot of money. It doesn't. Like, you have almost 20 fucking movies attached to this. You don't want to have it spoiled online. Of course you're gonna go fucking see it. This is kind of like the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie. We're like, oh my god, Jack Sparrow got eaten by a kraken. What will we do? Well, he's bound to come back because you fucking showed us a preview of it. So people are saying, that this movie is pointless. They're like, oh, shut the fuck up. You knew that Superman would return, after fighting with Doomsday. I'm like, well, yeah, but the problem is that Superman came back from the dead and had real world fucking ramifications. When Superman was gone, Task Force X was a big fucking thing. That shit could have gone bad, where every fucking dictator was like, get me fucking Deadshot, or get me one of those fucking superpower people. We're gonna run this shit now. It could have been gone really fucking bad. Whereas in this movie, it's like, oh, there's the time stone. We're gonna turn back time and fix this shit. So it's not so much that oh, they're gonna come back and we need to go to Davy Jones' locker and save Jack Sparrow, or we need to resurrect in a Frankensteinian way Superman. No, it's literally time travel. So it's fucking stupid. That's why it's stupid. Not so much that well, we know it's coming back. No, it's how they're coming back. It's fucking stupid. And some people will say well, you're just a hater because you don't have a really good movie that actually takes these stuff serious, man. And it's ironic hearing it from the fucking Marvel people, right? And I present Watchmen. In the world of Watchmen, why the fuck would I need Avengers Infinity? People are like, oh, well, Thanos, he actually, kills people. I'm like, bitch, please. Comic book Thanos would beat the shit out of a Spider-Man. He wouldn't get kicked in the face by Spider-Man. He would just take his fucking Spidey head and crush it. In the movie, Thanos literally grabs a fucking planet with his fist and goes I'm gonna bring the shit down on you. But you can't kill Spider-Man? What the fuck? And I think the biggest problem with the Avengers, that there is zero fucking outrage out there, is that you needed a blonde, blue-eyed, white hero to save Wakanda. That's fucking right. Thor saves Wakanda. And woke Twitter is, where the fuck are you? Within months, we went from Wakanda forever to white Jesus saves Wakanda. Really? What the fuck? where are your balls? Seriously. It's almost incredible to watch this shit. Can you imagine if when Themyscira was getting raided by Nazis, we had someone from the Justice Society show up and beat them up, some dude, and he's like, haha, females, you need a man to help you. And this one is haha, Africans, you need Thor to help you. And there's no fucking outrage? Are you fucking kidding me? The whole nation of Wakanda is supposed to be advanced, technologically advanced, and you need a white dude to save you? What the fuck? Where's the outrage? I'm probably the only minority angry by this shit. It's how quickly people change. how quickly people swallow this shit. Meanwhile, Ozymandias, a fucking white dude, is the villain of Watchmen. You know? And his plan fucking worked. Some people are like, oh, that is fucked up. That would never happen in the real world. I'm like, Nagasaki, please. We dropped nukes on Japan to stop the war. Come on. Don't be that fucking idiotic. Own that shit. So, yeah. And not to mention that Watchmen kind of resonates with the times, you know? Watchmen had some asshole clown in the White House. We were at war with the Russians. Paranoia, you know, about falling nukes. Economic downfall. And, you know, heroes were a joke, you know? People who were dressed up were seen as lunatic, you know? They're like, Rorschach. Yeah, we're scared of Rorschach, but fuck that guy, you know? They even, showed him, like, walking like Bigfoot on the TV footage. So, Watchmen, to me, is the go-to pinnacle of DC Comics. It's fucking R-rated. It makes sense. The director's cut integrated more footage, and it even included the Black Freighter cartoon. I still say that, we need a longer version, and HBO is going to give us a series, because it's that fucking good. So, in the world of Avengers Infinity, I don't need that shit. I got a Watchmen. Seriously. Why bother? And last but not least, a movie that younger Sergio actually purchased, the first Iron Man. A movie that younger Sergio actually promoted, actually told everybody to go watch. It was fucking awesome. Back in the day, I should have known better. One of the things that you may not know about the first Iron Man is that when Batman Begins showed the Joker card at the end of it, people lost their fucking minds. People were like, oh my god, the Joker's going to be in the next movie, oh my god. That scene at the end created the whole after credit scenes, because at that point, Jon Favreau and Marvel Studios had filmed everything. So they're like, fuck, we gotta come up with our own Joker card. Let's put an additional scene. Let's get Nick Fury. Oh, correction. Ultimate Comics, Ultimate Marvel, Nick Fury. If you don't know that, Marvel Comics, ahead of its time, was like, hey, let's make our Ultimate Nick Fury look like Samuel L. Jackson, because we hear that he likes Sin City and he's a comic book guy. Maybe we'll seduce him one day to make our movies with us. And it worked. It worked so well that we still haven't seen a Nick Fury origin movie. The fuck? Seriously? No Nick Fury movie? Agent Coulson, what's his fucking face, gets a whole fucking TV show, and you don't give Agent Fury a fucking... Oh, fuck. So anyways. So that's the birth of the after credit scene. Because they were so fucking jelly at Batman Begins. And if you look at him, they're basically the same trilogy. In Batman Begins, you have a rich guy, and he goes off to the world to try to live like a humble person. He steals from his own company. He goes searching for, a higher learning. He finds the League of Shadows. He's rendered humiliated, or he's rendered human, with some humility, and returns to Gotham to take back his throne, his big corporate CEO seat. And then he finds that the people that he encountered outside are, going to attack his city. Iron Man is a similar plotline, basically. A rich white dude, suffers an accident because he's a fucking war profiteer, but when shit happens to him, like, we're supposed to give a fuck. He gets stuck in a cave with, a lot of people of color. They fucking are selling his weapons, and he's pissed off. It's like, no, you shouldn't sell my weapons. Only I get to do that shit. I mean, I'm just being facetious here, but, he's humiliated. He learns some lessons. He goes back to his city, with the help of a suit, like Batman, tries to take back control of his company. And then, apparently the 10 rings were supposed to, come in to fuck him up, but, we have Jebediah. And, there's, some stupid, you stole my technology thing again. And they have, a Rock'em Sock'em robot fight scene at the end. It's kind of cringy, but fuck it. So that's Iron Man, And, I think that it's basically the same fucking movies. Now, when The Dark Knight came out, and it was, far fucking superior to its predecessor, but also, took comic book movies to a new height. It was so good that, the Academy was changed forever. Instead of, giving Oscar snubs, they fucking said, okay, we're going to switch from 5 categories of best film to 10. So that's the legacy of The Dark Knight. It changed fucking Oscar history. And Heath Ledger won an Oscar for it. It's fucking awesome. Compare that to fucking Iron Man 2. That fucking sucked. And a lot of people don't know this. And, of course, the media is not going to fucking say that. But that's actually when Ant-Man was supposed to premiere. But because Edgar Wright saw what DC was doing and didn't want to make a subpar product, was like, fuck this, I'm just going to take my time. So, this is when the Disney purchase happened, and Disney was like, fuck it, we just need a sequel. Put some fucking Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. there, Agent Coulson, what's his face, put the fucking America Captain S.H.I.E.L.D. there, and make some joke about doing stuff in fucking New Mexico. And we'll figure that shit out later. So that's why Iron Man 2 sucked. It was because, Studio Intervention just wanted to, make all these fucking requests. It's like, oh, drop Easter eggs for their future movies. And, fucking Favreau was like, I just want to make a fucking sequel to Iron Man. I don't want to, sacrifice a movie for a shared fucking universe. But that's what happened. And that's when the brainwashing happened. No one was like, hey, fuck you, Marvel. Why can't you give War Machine his own solo movie before you fucking put him as a goddamn sidekick of Iron Man? No one fucking said that. Apparently. And that's when everything fucking went to shit. I believe that if Heath Ledger hadn't, died, we would have continued with Christopher Nolan to some extent. I think that his younger brother, the other Nolan, would have probably been the one in charge of making all these movies, along with, his production company. But when Legendary Pictures kind of went away, and Warner Brothers and that production company went away, they kind of needed to reboot it. So it wasn't so much that Heath Ledger caused the Joker to die. It was more like things behind the scenes, were kind of going away. We still got a couple projects from that production company. We got Pacific Rim and the first Godzilla movie from at Warner Brothers. And that's when these two companies started to deviate. The second movie was really dark, Iron Man 2. It didn't need to be that dark. It was competing with Justin Hammer, who fucking went away. And you can tell the similarities, between the 10 Rings and, the League of Shadows coming back to haunt Batman are kind of similar, but they're done in different way. The Mandarin on Iron Man 3 was a fucking joke. Even stinking up the bathroom kind of a joke. It was a fucking joke. Whereas in the third Batman movie, you got fucking Tom Hardy, who played Bane like a motherfucking badass. His fucking dialogue's still quotable today. I mean, do people still quote the kid from fucking Iron Man 3? Do they quote Trevor, the British actor who played the Mandarin? Or the white Mandarin? No, people don't quote shit. And this is sad because Shane Black is a quotable motherfucking writer. It's like he wrote Predator. I ain't got time to bleed. That movie's fucking quotable, and there's no quotes from Iron Man 3. Shit. By the time The Dark Knight Rises came up, the Avengers were already in cinema. And again, unfucking fairly, people were like, whoa, Avengers made so much fucking money. Dark Knight Rises needs to have all the superheroes as much as Marvel. But nobody said, hey, fuck you, Avengers. Why can't you be as good as the X-Men movies from Fox? I mean, your villain Loki is no fucking Magneto. No one said that. But, unfairly, they did that shit to Dark Knight Rises. And guess what? We got a fucking badass, Tom Hardy Bane. He's so fucking badass. Even Marvel was like, hey, let's make him Venom. Not only that, but the first fucking showing, Thursday night, there was a fucking shooting massacre in Aurora, Colorado. That prevented a lot of fucking people from wanting to go see this movie. And that's something that, all these motherfuckers don't really account for it. It was fucking doom and gloom on Friday and Saturday when this shit happened. So yeah, it did hit the box office, but Avengers people are like, it doesn't matter. I don't give a shit about people getting shot in the fucking movie theater. I just want to brag about box office numbers. And that's the kind of bullshit that pisses people off. It's like, how is it that you go to see the superhero movies and act like a fucking asshole? You don't give a shit about the Aurora shooting? What the fuck is wrong with you? You just want to brag about Avengers box office? Fuck that. So, yeah. So that's a kind of, constant media attention that we have, and ultimately, I take the Dark Knight trilogy over any fucking day over the fucking Iron Man crap. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. In conclusion, and also non-gender affiliated people, I fucking love you. So everybody is included in this podcast. This is my conclusion. This is what I think. This is why I don't fucking need a goddamn Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know what? I was thinking about it. What is the Marvel Cinematic Universe? It's basically when you go to Walmart and you have that one fucking friend who's like, oh, I just love Walmart and I need to buy everything Marvel. And sorry, I need to buy everything Walmart brand. And you're like, well, dude, I mean, yeah, I'm on a fucking budget too, but why can't you, spare some fucking money on, other brand shit? It's like, no, gotta be Walmart brand. Or, those asshole yuppies that go to Whole Foods and go no, I just need to buy Whole Food brand. It's like, well, dude, I mean, you can buy other shit. You don't need to spend, $10 on toilet paper. You can just go to Costco or Walmart and buy other generic brands. It's like, nope, I just want this brand. And that's what Marvel is. If Twilight was part of the Marvel universe, fucking beautiful. 90 rating on Rotten Tomatoes. If the Fast and the Furious was, part of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., people would be like, oh yeah, that was fucking awesome. Yeah, I fucking loved it. Yeah, that was awesome. And also the problem is when you make these fucking movies episodic, you kind of give it a pass. I've seen people really bitch at TV episodes like Game of Thrones. Oh man, that fucking episode of Game of Thrones, it was all talking, fucking sucked. But they gave a pass to Ant-Man, who fucking doesn't contribute anything to the overall saga. That's the kind of bullshit that you're dealing here, man. It's some fucking cult mentality where you're not supposed to question shit. Even me as a DC fan can admit that Green Lantern wasn't the fucking greatest movie. I can still say I liked it, even though it's crap. But ask somebody to be like, yeah, fucking Iron Man 2 sucked, Ant-Man sucked, Thor 2 sucked, Age of Ultron sucked, the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie kind of sucked, No. Oh, yeah. And, you have all these people online just defending this shit. And people in the media ridiculing anybody who's not them, So, yeah, I grew up with comics. All kinds of fucking comics, I happen to like The Walking Dead. Guess what happened? Image was founded because people were like, oh, Marvel's treating us unfairly. Fuck you. Yeah, artists just fucking said, fuck you, Marvel. I'm going to make my own Image Comics company. And that's how it was born. People act like, erases and quitties. Like, oh yeah, we forget about all the evil shit that we've done in the past. Go Marvel. You know, they don't even read fucking comics anymore. You know, when Marvel wanted to include like minorities, you know, that's the other thing. People were like, fuck this. We don't like it. We don't want an Asian Hulk. We don't want Riri as Iron Man. What? And that's a fucking problem. You know, like these fucking comics for Marvel were, you know, baby boomer shit. They were marketed to white suburban kids who could afford this shit. You know? And that's why they're more appealing to USA. Meanwhile, you know, DC is more of a mythical. You know, you have a warrior woman, you have a child who died in an alley and became Batman, and you have the immigrant, the alien, and Superman. These are fucking iconic, and they can actually be relatable to anybody who feels like an outsider, who wants to connect with his inner child, or thinks that, you know, the world would benefit for more female integration. Those fucking three things are in the Trinity, and that's what started DC. All these other characters have been like that. They've been iconic and mythical. Marvel's been about marketing. If you don't believe that, listen to how Marvel got started. You know, listen to Stan Lee talk about that. Oh yeah, my boss was playing golf with a guy from DC, and he was bragging about Justice League, so I was told to make a superhero team, and I came out with a Fantastic Four. That's it. It was fucking greed and competition that made Marvel. And it's always been like this, you know. I've been collecting comics since I got here into this country. My first encounter with white people who liked comics was being ridiculed because I didn't know what fucking comic book characters they were fucking reading, because I grew up in a poor country, you know. And I wasn't buying all the fucking comics in the world. You know, some shit wasn't exported to Mexico. Hello. You know, and in Mexico, we actually promoted our own fucking comics, if you can believe that. We have our own fucking heroes. We don't need the white man to tell us what to fucking love. So anyways, that was my first encounter with these fucking assholes. Oh, he doesn't know who Wolverine is. I'm like, well, the world doesn't know who Wolverine was until the fucking movie. So yeah, we have this idea that Marvel is relatable. You know, it's like Marvel put mutants before minorities because they didn't have the balls to put minorities. You know, that's why they had to rectify with, like, you know, an Asian Hulk and a female Thor and a black Captain America and a black Iron Man recently. And guess what happened? People hated those characters currently. And, you know, they're basically doing a rebirth, but with the classic white people. Again, it's not a brand that I fucking liked. They almost went bankrupt in around 2000, and this is where most of the shit comes from. You know, they started prostituting their characters to Sony and Fox Studios, and then, you know, they finally sold themselves to Disney, and, you know, people act like this is the biggest fucking thing in the world. You know, it's like, no, your Phase 1 failed. You didn't make enough revenue. You sold to Disney. You know, in your Phase 2, guess what happened? You basically failed. You know, Thor 2 sucked. Iron Man, you know, 3 sucked. Like Age of Ultron sucked. You know, you were so fucking bad that you had to, like, create new people. You know, and then, you know, in Phase 4, you have nothing. So you have to buy Fox Studios to get the X-Men back. I mean, it's just like some Borg collective. You know, resistance is futile. We must swallow all these other species. And if you don't like us, fuck you. No, I've shown you in this video that I can have a fucking life without giving a fuck about Marvel. And yet, I've told you things about Marvel that, like, normal media doesn't know because I don't fucking read comics. You know, they're collecting shit. You know, like, there was like a minimal uproar when, Miles Morales was not the new Spider-Man, you know? Because nobody fucking cared. People were like, I don't want to upset Disney. You know, I'm as much as I want a black Spider-Man, Disney's, you know, it's like neither IO9, fucking IGN, Gizmodo, Collider, fuck you, Collider. No one had the balls to be like, hey, you're not gonna make Spider-Man black? What the fuck is wrong with you? You know? But anyways, we got white Peter Parker again. And yeah, like, you could have Sony keep the fucking Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and the Miles Morales as your MCU Spider-Man, but no. You know, studios have no balls to stand up to Disney, and its resistance is futile. You know, even like the whole city of LA is scared of Disney. You know, Disney's just swallowing up the entire Hollywood industry, and it's hurting every fucking body. So whenever people tell you that, oh my god, you're just a hater, no, I represent artists from all over the fucking world. You know, not the whole world thinks like you, USA. USA, you can eat Tide Pods if you want to. Some fucking dumbasses in other countries will imitate you, but they don't start that stupid shit. You know? And they'll follow you. They'll follow your lead. So in a world where like smart people are being demonized by loudmouth politicians, loudmouth social celebrities that don't do shit except being attention whores, you need smart entertainment. And unfortunately, Marvel hasn't provided that for me. This video is mostly about to praise other companies, not just DC. You know, Dark Horse Comics, fucking, you know, Hellboy. Come on, man. Valiant Entertainment, Valiant Comics is actually making movies, man. Go fucking see them. Anime, for fuck's sakes. You know, check out some anime, like good fucking anime, not like the fucking pretentious shit that, you know, people want to shove down your throat. No. Go out of your fucking way and find shit that's not printing here in the States. Go support Moebius, you know, and European comics. I bet you didn't know that Valerian inspired most of the Star Wars shit, like the Millennium Falcon. Of course not. But, you know, you go to, like, the internet and, like, oh my god, Valerian didn't make as much money as Star Wars, so fuck it. Well, bitch, read some fucking French comics, too. You know, enlighten yourself, man. Like, surely you're valuing stupidity and you're elevating ignorance to, you know, the level that it should be ignored, you know? And this is what I like about things that I like. You know, they don't make me feel like a fucking idiot, and they don't make me feel like a pretentious asshole. It's just like, it makes sense and it's story, you know? I don't have to, like, defend that the Hulk has purple pants. I don't have to defend the pants are fucking stretchy. You know? No. It fits in the story. That's not defendable because it doesn't need to be defendable. That shit makes sense in the story with the gamma radiation. However, if Thanos beats Hulk, and then the Hulk's like, I'm sad, I don't want to do this anymore. Fuck you. Because you've told me repeatedly that the angrier Hulk gets, the more powerful he becomes. And all of a sudden the script calls for him to be sad. That's the fucking issue with these movies, is that they don't write characters. They don't write stories. They fucking write setups. And that's it. It's a fucking setup. You know? They forget about what came before it. They're just setting up the next movie. They're setting up the next plot point, next plot point, next plot point, next movie, Easter egg, and that's it. That's all they fucking do. You know, that's why, like, when people are like, oh my god, but they killed a lot of people in the latest movie, it's like, it's not gonna matter. Time travel. You know? So, anyways, I hope you go and support other comic books other than just fucking Marvel. Because otherwise, it's just like you're just feeding your body junk food. You know? You can die from McDonald's. You may not die from just consuming fucking Marvel comic book movies, but Hollywood might die. You know? You need a steady diet of everything. Anyways, this is DC Domingo. Peace out, motherfuckers.